Alright, so here we're going to have a look at question 12. This question comes from the 2020 HSC Advanced Maths paper. This is not an overly difficult question. It's right at the start of the paper. It's relatively simple if you know how to use the sequence and series formulas. To many students, you'll be able to see the series tells you in the question. You can see it without being told, but it's a relatively simple one. 3 marks means you will need to have a correct answer, which will be the sum, and you will need to have some working to demonstrate that. This will pretty much involve use of sequence and series formulas in this case. So here we have an arithmetic series. So 4 plus 10 plus 16 plus ... all the way up to 1354. Now with any series like this, the first term we are going to call A. So A is equal to 4. This is the first term that appears at the beginning here. Arithmetic means you are adding or subtracting a number between each term. So to go from 4 to 10, we're adding 6. To go from 10 to 16, we're adding 6. So the term we are adding or subtracting is 6, and we're adding it in this case. So D is going to be equal to 6. You could say plus 6, 6 or plus 6. It's fine either way. We also need to know how many terms there are in order to find the sum. Now this is what we often refer to as n. This is the number of terms. So 4 is the first term, 10 is the second, 16 is the third, and so on. We don't actually know this. This is not given to us in the question. So we can't find the sum yet. We first have to find how many terms there are in this particular series. Now to do this, we are going to use the nth term formula. The nth term is the first term plus the number of terms minus 1 multiplied by the difference. This formula appears pretty much exactly like this on the HSC formula sheet. It is the first formula in the 2020 iteration of the formula sheet. I believe it stays in the same spot in the following years as well. So we're going to use this to find how many terms there are. The reason being, we know that this is the final term. So T final, whatever the last one is, whatever F is, 1354 is that term. We know A is 4, we know D is 6, so we have everything in this formula except for N. So we're going to plug everything in. We know TF, the final term, is 1354. So 1354 is going to be equal to A, which is 4, plus the number of terms, minus 1, multiplied by the difference, which is 6. Linear equation, we're just going to solve this. Minus 4 from both sides. This gives us 1350 is equal to 6 times n minus 1. Going to divide both sides by 6. So here we have 1350 divided by 6 gives us 225. So we have 225 is equal to n minus 1. Add 1 to both sides. So this tells us the number of terms in the series is 226. 226. So this is likely to be the first mark. You will get marks for working in order to find the sum. One way to do this is to find how many terms there are and then use the arithmetic formula based on the number of terms. That's the first thing that we're doing here. If you are going to follow this path, as has been presented here, you first need to find the number. So we can fix this up, get rid of the question mark. We now know this is 226. So we now have the first term, we have the added or subtracted difference, we have the number of terms. We can now use the sum formula in order to work out the sum of this arithmetic series. So our sum formula is Sn. This is our standard sum formula. There is an alternative sum formula which we could use as well. So we have n over 2 multiplied by 2a plus n minus 1 times the difference. This is the standard one. There's another one. We don't need to use the other one. We can just use this one because we have all these values. It doesn't really matter which one you use at this point. They're both going to get you the right answer, and having used them, you're going to have provided sufficient working. So assuming that you find the number of terms, use one of the formulas, present working that is correct, get the correct sum, that's going to get you 3 marks. So let's plug everything in. So we are using this. So we have the sum of 226 terms which is the number of terms, is equal to the number, which is 226, divided by 2, times 2 times a of course being the first term, so that's 2 times 4, plus the number of terms, which is 226, minus 1 times the difference, which is 6. Now you could just put this in the calculator. You could say 113 times 8 plus 225 times 6, which is 1350. So this gives us 113 times 1358. This gives us 15,15345. The 153,000, sorry, 153,454. And this is the answer. This is what you're after here. So we started by identifying what we knew, using what we knew to find precursor knowledge. So that's what we did in this first part. We identified what we knew. We used that to find n. That's essentially going to be your first mark out of 3. Once you had n, we then used another method to find the sum. So the working here is going to be the second mark. And then we correctly found the sum, and that's going to be the third mark. So this is how you do question 12. This is one way, I should say, you do question 12 from the 2020 Advanced Maths HSC paper.